Recapping President Trump's State of the Union address, the highlights, the theatrical moments, the appearance of Team USA, but also, very importantly, breaking down the Democrat responses, of which there were many. All of that and so much more today on a special one-year anniversary episode of 10 Minute Drill.
Everybody get up, get up.
The story of America is the story of an adventure.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
We are a nation under God, and I believe God intended for us to be free.
First off today, it has been 1 year since we kicked off this kooky little adventure of the 10-minute drill. Thank you for staying with us up to this point. We hope to keep providing you with valuable content. We kick off today as a recap of President Trump's State of the Union address last night. To begin, this is America's 250th anniversary. President Trump knows that. He has already tried to set up a lot of great pomp and circumstance for our country to mark this incredible occasion, and his team telegraphed in advance that that would be a triumphant theme, and here's how he highlighted it.
Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America.
One of the best moments of the entire night was paying tribute to the incredible USA men's Olympic hockey team, the first gold medalists from the United States since the great Miracle on Ice year of 1980.
And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in. That I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
One thing President Trump famously loves to do in these speeches is use applause lines in triumphant moments to dare Democrats to stay seated.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
In addition to American triumphalism, which I believe is incredibly valuable for President Trump as he draws a contrast with Democrats' doom and gloom, he also laid out a number of important policy points, including a number of specific policy issue areas that show creativity in his fight to win the affordability debate with Democrats.
I'm announcing that next year my administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year. I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID.
He talked about his focus on health care.
In addition, my plan requires maximum price transparency. That's a big deal.
One thing President Trump has always done very well throughout all of his State of Union addresses in his 2 terms is the theater element. He's a showman. He comes from the world of entertainment, and he does a great job choreographing these incredibly triumphant moments with guests. We talked about USA Hockey, but in addition to that, he uses these guests to highlight key policy points and victories.
With us tonight is Rachel Wiggins, a mom of 2 from Houston. She placed bids on 20 homes and lost all of those bids to gigantic investment firms that bypassed inspection, paid all cash, and turned those houses into rentals, stealing away her American dream. She was devastated. I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover with our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor.
One of the guests that President Trump highlighted was named Sage Blair.
In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home after she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland. A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman.
This again highlights the fact that President Trump wants to drive attention to Democrat radicalism on issues like parental rights and on really divisive trans issues, whether it is men and women's sports or the Democrat agenda of secretly transing your kids. One thing that I talked about yesterday in our preview episode ahead of the State of the Union was President Trump's need to drive a contrast. Right now, Republicans are facing a fairly scary enthusiasm gap going into the midterms, and one way to address that is to remind everybody what happens if Democrats win. That's something that he did a very good job drawing policy contrasts with the other side.
Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. They were murderers, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word they just used it.
Whether it's simply reminding people what Joe Biden left behind, or the fact that existing Democrats right now who are trying to get in power are making no effort to say anything they do differently than Joe Biden, who had one of the lowest approval ratings in history, welcoming President Trump back into office, that's an issue that Republicans have to drive going into November so people understand the stakes if they stay home. President Trump used this speech to drive the contrast with Democrats. They made it fairly easy with some of their own antics. Here's Ilhan Omar trying to shout him down.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Democrats boycotted the event entirely, choosing to resist by attending other events.
And yes, our trans kids across this country who are sick and tired of being bullied because it's not trans kids driving up your rent.
When are we going to say it, ladies and gentlemen?
But what was interesting is a lot of these other events were funded by left-wing dark money groups. MoveOn.org being funded by George Soros and Arabella Advisors. State of the Swamp also aligned with dark money groups like Arabella Advisors that had all sorts of people in costumes, frogs, and awkward displays.
And at the end of the night, we're going to storm Applebee's.
I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
Democrats refusing to show up to work so they could hang out with dark money groups and Hollywood actors? Sounds like just another Tuesday. In a perfect representation of Democrats in 2026, they had a handful of different responses representing the different constituencies of the current Democrat sort of coalition. You had the official response from Abigail Spanberger. We'll get to more of that in a second. Representing the Hispanic community of the United States, you had Senator Padilla delivering a response in Spanish. Representing the Working Families Party, you had Summer Lee, the radical from Pennsylvania. Representing the intellectually challenged community, Gavin Newsom. Just kidding, Gavin Newsom didn't deliver any kind of response, even though I'm sure he was looking for a microphone somewhere. We're waiting for more responses from the Two-Spirit community and other constituencies within the larger alphabet mafia who will also want to make sure that their opinions on the State of the Union address are heard. But as I mentioned before, giving the official Democrat response is Abigail Spanberger, who, as I said yesterday, is most valuable to Republicans because she draws a very clear picture of the dangers of electing more Democrats with some of the radical things that she's doing in Virginia.
Here in Virginia, I am working with our state legislature to lower costs and make the Commonwealth more affordable.
Here's a list of the many tax increases and proposals Democrats in Virginia are considering passing. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax.
So the contrast here is valuable and clear. On one hand, President Trump laid out his case for the midterms in terms of both policy for Republicans to get behind to make sure the American people know they care about the issues that they're facing every day. The contrast between the existing failures of Democrat leadership that we're already seeing in front of us, whether it's Abigail Spanberger and her 50 new taxes and river of fecal matter that she's taken no time to warn her constituents about, Zoran in New York with dead bodies piling up and trash everywhere, homeless encampments for Gavin Newsom. We have clear images of Democrat failure, and Republicans are charged to make a direct contrast against that. And I believe President Trump's work in his State of the Union last night set the table for that going into the midterms. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us for this special episode after a year of varying degrees of fun episodes. Please like, subscribe, leave us a review, tell your friends, and we will see you tomorrow.